Hey guys, we are back with part 3, the final part of the exotic weapon tier list. Gonna close it out here with the special and heavy exotic weapons. We'll start with Telesto. In PvE, the highest I can give this right now is a B+, and in PvP, it gets a C+. Telesto, in my mind, is the best fusion rifle in the game for PvE. The problem is that fusion rifles don't really have a great spot in the meta right now. Snipers are far superior, and shotguns are still great in PvP. Long-range fusion rifle usage is not really a viable thing right now, and with snipers doing even more damage from farther ranges, why bother trying? While it's a very fun gun to use, and while generating orbs of light is much simpler than anticipated, fusion rifles themselves aren't quite there yet in terms of being a viable pick over something like a sniper rifle. In PvP, it has seen a little bit of popularity as of recent due to its damage potential for killing multiple players without actually having to hit them directly. However, this often requires a lot of ammo to be used, and special ammo in the Crucible can be rare depending on how well your game is going. Not only that, but spraying the weapon does not guarantee a kill. In 1v1 engagements, your target doesn't die instantly, giving them time to counter you and trade. This is not what I would consider an ideal fusion rifle for PvP, and while it can surprise people, a sniper or a shotgun goes much farther without as much effort. Invective gets a B+ in PvE and an A to A+ in PvP. In PvE, Invective suffers from the same problems that all shotguns suffer from. There aren't as many fights where they perform as well as sniper rifles. Its ammo regeneration is handy, as is its burst, able to take down high priority targets incredibly quickly like majors or high tier regular enemies. With a lack of a found verdict style shotgun without incredible luck on a roll, the hard-hitting shotguns are appealing, but if you don't one-shot your target, it takes a while to fire that next shot, and that could be the difference between life and death. Being able to spray recklessly without concern is a nice benefit. In PvP, it has seen resurgence from the days of old, mostly in part to its regenerating ammo. It is significantly easier to just spray down a target when you don't have to worry about the repercussions of burning a ton of ammo doing it when you just regenerate it. Usually 4 shots will end up killing a target, and when you can spray 4 shots in the time it takes to do 1 shot with a high impact shotgun, you're going to be able to kill from much farther ranges because those little bits of damage do add up. The 4th Horseman gets a B in PvE and a C+ in PvP. The 4th Horseman is essentially an arc version of the Invective with a faster rate of fire, but for some reason it doesn't feel as potent as it used to be, besides the obvious of its damage getting nerfed in 2.0. The weapon can be difficult to control, so it's really only ideal for doing boss damage, but there aren't too many bosses that you actually want to get close to. Compared to something like Invective, well, Invective is definitely much easier to control in terms of rate of fire and recoil, so if you want to go single target, you can with Invective, but with 4th Horseman, that's much harder to do. In PvP, also much like Invective, you can spray people down with it, sure, but it's going to cost you a lot of ammo to do so, except you don't regenerate any ammo, making the weapon horribly inefficient. So, it's Invective, but worse. That's all I really need to say about it. We'll finish shotguns with the Chaperone, which gets a C to C+ in PvE and an A to A+ in PvP. I was not thrilled with the weapon in PvE. The bonuses don't really do enough to enhance the weapon to a level where going around blasting everything is more beneficial than just using a regular weapon or even a regular shotgun. The damage is also all or nothing. Missing gets you nothing. There needs to feel like a reason to use it beyond just having fun with it. Perhaps if it didn't need to be crit kills to proc the bonus and instead just had to be crit shots, the weapon might be a little bit better. In PvP, this weapon can be incredibly deadly and I think is still under the radar right now from most of the public eye. It can kill from what might be deemed unreasonable ranges by the community. However, this is once again an all or nothing situation where if you don't hit to the head, you will not kill your target. The weapon does fire incredibly quickly though, so follow-up shots are very easy, but that is assuming you don't die to an enemy shotgun in 1 shot. I also feel like this deserves more of a variable rating because those who know how to handle the weapon can be very successful, but it definitely takes some getting used to and requires a very accurate hand. Hereafter gets a B to B+ in PvE and a B+ to an A in PvP. In PvE, the bonus of a blinding effect seemed really strong when we first saw it, essentially a free flashbang grenade. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out as well as we thought, and snipers are used much more for pure boss damage. This sniper falls more into the crowd control category, and given how long it would take for the blind effect to happen in a typical circumstance, it doesn't end up being worth it. Not to mention that the high impact snipers are what's in right now, and Hereafter is only a medium impact weapon. I think that if snipers are to exist the way that they are, less impact should mean more shots available. Hereafter would get a bump up to 5 shots in the magazine, and low impact snipers would get 6. I don't know if that's too much or if the math works out too well, but we're all about very quick solutions to problems that we aren't sure are actually problems here at Datto Does Destiny. In PvP, I really enjoyed the weapon as a sniper rifle on its own. It does have among the highest aim assist in the game as well, which can help a little bit for landing shots. However, I think my rating is more anecdotal, as I don't really see many Hereafters in PvP, and a lot of people don't speak too highly of the weapon. It has square sights, which some people don't like, and the fact that it can't res snipe in Trials of Osiris is also a contributing factor to its non-popularity. Most people don't think there's enough of a benefit to the weapon over using something like a 1,000-yard stare, a statement I can definitely relate with.
Gunsmith quest I have.
Oh, and now it's my turn.
Devalin, cool. Turn that right into that.
Black Spindle gets an A+ to an S in PvE and a B+ in PvP. Black Spindle, much like Black Hammer was in Year 1, is a fantastic PvE sniper rifle. It has the highest impact of any sniper in the game and can fire for as long as you have ammo and are hitting headshots, making it one of the best boss-killing weapons in the game. For War Priest and Golgoroth, not many things can compete with it. There are not many downsides to the weapon with regards to PvE. In PvP, at the moment, it is the only way to one-shot headshot kill a Sunbreaker Titan at full health. Some people value that immensely, while others don't value it at all. I personally think that using anything beyond 1,000-yard stare levels of impact doesn't have enough of a benefit to use it, and the amount of times I've been in a position to headshot snipe a Sunbreaker Titan have been very few and far between. You will rarely be proccing the bonus on the weapon that makes it so good in PvE, and end up with the slowest firing sniper rifle in the game in a mode where speed is very valuable. The other side of that is that you can body shot someone very hard, to the point where literally any weapon at its ideal range can fire one shot and kill the target, with the exception of bullet hose auto rifles, which would require 2 shots. Finally, let's hit the heavy weapons, starting with a very simple evaluation: Truth. Truth gets a B+ to an A in PvE and an A+ to an S in PvP. Truth is a rocket launcher, and rocket launchers need to do one thing and one thing only: hit targets and hit them hard. Truth does exactly that. It will relentlessly track your target and will ensure that a rocket is delivered to them in a timely fashion. And that's all it needs to do. It is a very reliable rocket launcher. However, rocket launchers aren't really in right now, and using your exotic slot on Truth almost feels like a waste because there are other weapons out there that can make much more of a difference than Truth does. This is why G-Horn was basically the only Year 1 exotic heavy that was used. Exotic heavies have to do so much more to warrant their use. In PvP, it would be unfair to give this anything less than an A+. Much like PvE, you want your rockets to hit your target at all costs, as to not waste them. Truth kills stuff, and it kills it very well, not to mention that you can very easily switch to it whenever you actually need to, and then switch back. Thunderlord gets a B+ in both PvE and PvP. In PvE, it is a very good weapon, but long story short, it doesn't make enough of a difference to warrant using over something like the Raid machine gun, which frees up your exotic slot. The amount of times where you can utilize the increased rate of fire and not feel like you're wasting ammo doesn't come around too often. The weapon is a little jumpy with its recoil. It's a serviceable weapon, it's good, but it's not one that breaks the mold, and that's what's important in an exotic weapon choice. In PvP, it's the same situation, not much else to say. It works, but it doesn't work any better or worse than any other machine gun of its archetype, which means you can free your exotic slot for something else. Sleeper Simulant is a very odd weapon in that it was difficult to give a rating, but we ended up with a B+ to an A in PvE and a B in PvP. Sleeper Simulant is a fusion rifle but acts like a rocket launcher. It loses the benefit of hitting many targets at once but gains the safety of not accidentally blowing yourself up. Unfortunately, the bounce mechanic is a non-factor, not that I ever thought it would be a factor, since ricochet rounds have been a joke since their inception. Its bullet penetration can be handy, but it's not vital to the weapon's success. Sleeper Simulant feels like a better golden gun. When you need something dead, you can whip out Sleeper Simulant and know that that something is gonna be dead. However, being off by even a couple of pixels of accuracy means a wasted shot, so steady hands might find it more valuable than others. In PvP, its ability to be disrupted is far too great to be something that is considered viable. You can still melt people with the thing, but it takes some very precise shooting and aim to get those shots. Once again, it's a very fun weapon, but it's not something I would consider in the top tier, nor would it be something that I would want to use over Truth or Thunderlord if I were in a serious PvP environment. Lastly, the exotic swords are going without a rating in PvE and a B to B+ in PvP. The reason I'm choosing not to rate them outright in PvE is because their performance varies wildly depending on the context of the activity you're in. In Heroic Strikes, I would rank them in the A+ to S tier simply because they just absolutely demolish everything in sight so quickly. They're really good and really fun. In the raid, they're significantly less useful, minus a couple of very select situations, so they would end up with a C or worse just for being unusable or irresponsible. In positions where they are usable, they are insanely good, and in positions where they are not, they are almost useless. Boltcaster may be the one exception considering its R2 attack is a ranged attack, but in any case where you may want range, you're probably just better off using a heavy machine gun. In PvP, I feel like a lot of people are getting used to how to fight against swords now, which makes them less viable than they used to be. However, they are still capable of surprising people and blocking a lot of damage. Their mere blocking presence can instill fear in some players, causing them to run away. However, for anything serious, I'm probably not rolling with a sword. There you have it, guys. That is your exotic tier list for the Taken King as of patch 2.0.1.1. Should we get any new weapon balance patches that would change this list, maybe something like in December, I will revise the list and release a new video with updated rankings, along with explanations explaining those rankings. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
I wouldn't give to fight again beyond the wall. I would tear out a Vex's heart with my teeth. I would sear the Cabal with my burning light, challenge the fallen Kells to personal combat and scatter them. I've been watching too many Crucible matches.